Morning. So happy to welcome General Xavier Becerra from the great state of California to the great state of Illinois. Uh, in my short time as Attorney General of Illinois, we have worked together on multiple fronts, and most recently to challenge the President's declaration of emergency to divert funds, what we believe is illegally, from valuable projects within the states. And General Becerra has led this effort, as he has on other efforts, and we have been proud to join him in that effort. And so I turn the floor over to him.
Well, I want to thank Attorney-General Raoul for the invitation to meet with him and a number of the leaders in the state of Illinois. Illinois has been a leader on so many of these different efforts to keep our country moving forward, and certainly I think there are a lot of Americans who appreciate the work that the state of Illinois and the Attorney General have done to try to advance these opportunities and the rights of people. One of them, of course, is to make sure that when your folks in Illinois and our folks in California pay taxes, that we know that money's going to come back to provide the services that we expect. We don't expect that that money's going to be diverted illegally for some project that, in this case, President Trump wants to move forward without the constitutional authority to do so. And so it is great to have the partnership with Attorney General Raoul and to know that we're able to move forward as two very important states in the country doing this together. We're also joined by 18 other states that are now part of this effort. So this is a national effort to try to make sure that when our taxpayers pay money to the federal treasury, we get it back once Congress has decided how to appropriate it. And we don't need someone else to try to tell us that we don't deserve to have our taxpayer money come back to our communities, to help in our schools, to help our law enforcement, to help us when it comes to health care. And so we're going to fight because we think we are in the right when it comes to protecting those dollars that Congress allocated for our people, for services and programs that are important here. And so I'm thrilled to be here again in Chicago to get to work with Attorney General Raoul, and I look forward to further efforts. And I think in the not too distant future, I know that the Attorney General is planning to visit California for a gathering of a number of attorneys general, and we'll have an opportunity to discuss more then.
So I counted 3 of the lawsuits that you guys are working on together. Can you go into specifics about workflow and the collaboration in terms of like who's filing what and who's going to bear the brunt of the work?
Maybe I can give a general, and you can talk specifically, General Raoul. So the great thing about this work that we've been able to do in partnership is that it is more than just one state. So this action against the Trump administration trying to rob money that's destined for Illinois or for California and to use it for a border project that has no congressional authorization is that we are teaming up. And so, as I just mentioned, we're now 20 states that are involved in this effort. Four states joined yesterday. And what it means is that all of us now in this lawsuit, in this complaint that was filed, we all give examples of how we are all going to be damaged, our people will be damaged, if we don't get the resources that Congress appropriated for our states and not for this border wall that President Trump wants to build without the monies that's been granted by Congress. But I'll let Attorney General Raoul speak to more specifically what the state would lose here in Illinois.
Yeah. So I think it's important to, in this instance, to recognize General Becerra's leadership on this. While there are multiple states who have signed on and who have engaged and characterized the impact to their individual states, General Becerra took the lead, and I'm not shy about saying that and complimenting him for that. But each state has to characterize how they are impacted. So there is money that would potentially go towards drug interdiction and to investing into military facilities within the individual states and law enforcement funds. Illinois could potentially lose in excess of $6.6 million in such funds, and maybe more. And the military facilities within Illinois could impact up to 85,000 individuals within the state. It's important to note that while California is one of the border states, what happens at the border impacts the country at large. And of course, I myself, as a child of Haitian immigrants, I'm sensitive to what happens at the border, because one of the things you may not know, amongst the immigrants that approach the border are some Haitians who have made their way from Brazil through South America and Central America.
Can you repeat in Spanish?
Can you give us
Sure, in English, as I was saying, Attorney-General Raoul and I both could talk about the particular harms that we would suffer in our states. But the reality is that Donald Trump hasn't yet explained how this border wall deals with the so-called fabricated national emergency. Because if it's about drugs, then you wouldn't be spending billions and billions of dollars building a wall in places that these drugs aren't crossing. Most of these drugs are coming in through ports of entry. We just had one of the largest drug busts in the nation's history at the border. Not through these parts of the border where there's no wall. It's through the ports of entry, where because of basic technology and good human resources, we were able to stop these drugs from coming in. And so the reality is, our taxpayers' money in Illinois and California and throughout the country should be spent back in Illinois and in California and the parts of the country where Congress has said it should go. And Donald Trump doesn't have the right under the Constitution to all of a sudden rob that money to build a wall that Congress wouldn't give him the money to do in the first place.
I think there's something that's really fundamental to this discussion, and it's the Constitution. You know, we can focus on the overall immigration issues that are relevant in this discussion, but fundamentally, I think on a bipartisan basis, there is concern of overreach from this president and ignoring the Constitution and separation of powers in this that is a fundamental principle of our country's Constitution. And if this president can do that with what he's called himself for a political purpose, then future presidents would be able to do the same for whatever reason they decide to declare an emergency.
I wanted to ask you guys about the challenge to the TPS status. I know it's in the appeals court. What is the current status of it? Can you give us a brief outlook?
It is moving its way through the courts. Most of us, as state AGs, have filed Friends of the Court brief, amicus briefs, in support of the challenge by these families that are being impacted by that. We know that there's legislation that was recently introduced in Congress that would provide folks under TPS, along with the DACA young folks, the protections they need to ultimately adjust their status. And we're going to continue to fight, because the way the president has tried to unwind the temporary protected status program is not only illegal, it's likely unconstitutional. And we're going to fight that, because we think that there are grounds on which these folks should be able to remain, and we're hoping that Congress ultimately will pass the legislation that will allow them to have a permanent status.
Can you respond in Spanish, please?
And then that's going to be the last one.
Thank you for watching the Illinois Channel. You may also wish to follow us online, where you are free to make comments or program suggestions. Get our breaking news updates on Twitter, where you can find us at Illinois Channel. You can find our past programming on YouTube at youtube.com/Illinois Channel TV. Or you can go to the Illinois Channel website at illinoischannel.org. There you can find not only our current video stories and programs, but also our library of past programs, as well as articles that provide additional information about Illinois issues and individuals. The Illinois Channel, keeping you connected to your state Your issues, your home.